Hey, welcome. So far what we have done is we have done our machine setup. That means we have installed JDK. Then we wrote our first Java program in Notepad and we compiled it using javac command on command prompt, and we ran it using java command from command prompt. Then we talked about GitHub, and where we saw how do we clone a repository, how do we make commits and push to a GitHub repository. Today we are starting with Eclipse. So let's go to this Eclipse getting started. So first two sections talk about why we should use Eclipse, what are the benefits of using Eclipse. So I'm skipping past that because all that we will see practically. Now first thing is we have to install Eclipse. Now Eclipse is not distributed as an installer. It comes as a zip file which we have to unzip. So this is the link to download Eclipse. So I'll click that. And when we go there, we'll see a lot of options: Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers, JRebel for Java developers, for C++. So what we should be downloading is we should go ahead with downloading Eclipse IDE for Java developers, and we should select the flavor based on our OS architecture. It's 32-bit or 64-bit. So if I go here, if I go to this PC properties, it tells me my operating system is 64-bit. So I'll go with x64 or 64-bit version. So let's go here, Eclipse IDE for Java developers. So we go with 64-bit, and when we select that, second screen that we go to is Eclipse asks us to pick as pick some site as a mirror, because Eclipse is distributed through lot of mirrors, basically a lot of servers on which this is hosted. So ideally we can go with any option. Like here by default it says it is coming from Taiwan Computer Center, or I have more mirror choices over here, like I can go with China option. Since it is near to India, so I'll pick that option so that download is faster. So I click here, and we can see the download option, download is already starting. So I can go with save and say okay. Now at the time when you are trying this to download Eclipse, that time if there is some other release of Eclipse, because right now the current release of Eclipse is Mars. So here we can see earlier it was Luna, before that it was Kepler, then it was Zuno. All these are the release names or the code names they give to their new releases. So whatever is the latest at current moment, you can go ahead with that. And typically when you come to this URL eclipse.org downloads, by default it shows us the latest release only. And in some case if people want to switch to older releases, then this is the place to do that. So if I go to Eclipse Luna, then here whatever downloads will be shown to me, they will be old versions of Eclipse. So here if we go to downloads, yeah, so these are Luna downloads, and we can see here also we have Eclipse IDE for Java developers. So like that we can go with any release of Eclipse. So right now I'm sticking to the default one. Fair. So it is getting downloaded. It's going to take some time. So I'll pause the video and we'll resume once the download has completed. Okay, so now we see Eclipse has been downloaded. So let's go ahead to this folder where it is downloaded, which is typically downloads on Windows. So we can, what we can do is we can right click and we can say extract all. So kind of we are unzipping the folder. So it will take some time to unzip, and what it will do is it will create an unzipped folder over here which will have Eclipse folder. Now this is the real folder which has Eclipse. If we go inside that, then we can notice there is Eclipse icon over here, and that's the real application. So every time whenever we want to start Eclipse, this is the application or exe that we will be double clicking and launching Eclipse. Second thing what I will do is once the unzip completes, I will move this Eclipse folder, because that's typically what I prefer. I'll move it to my C drive. I'll copy it from here and I'll go to C drive and I'll keep it here, because I try to keeps everything in my OS drive, so it kinds of gives me a feeling that it is one installation because typically we don't delete any files from our OS drive because they are meant to be operating system files. So that's the reason I'll take this approach. But in case you want to keep it to any other folder on your local hard disk, that choice is completely yours. So again, I'll pause the video and we'll resume once the unzip has completed. Okay, so unzip has completed and it took quite a while for unzip to get over. Now next step I'm doing is I'm copying this Eclipse folder, going to C drive, and let's paste it here. So once Eclipse is pasted, what I'll do is to launch Eclipse with ease every time I right click Eclipse and I'll say pin to start or pin to taskbar. When we say pin to taskbar, then we will see an icon of Eclipse here on the taskbar. So second thing we can do is we can say send to desktop. So when we say that, we will see on desktop there is a shortcut created. So either approach is fine. Either we can have a shortcut on the desktop or we can right click and say pin to taskbar. So I prefer pin to taskbar approach. So we'll close this now. So now every time we want to interact with Eclipse, this is our starting point. Great, so we come back and resume. Now we have unzipped, we have created a shortcut. Now we are ready to launch it, and when we launch it we will see some terminology of Eclipse. So let me click here and we will notice that Eclipse takes some time whenever we launch it because it's a very pluggable integrated development environment. Now why do we call Eclipse an integrated development environment? We'll know the answer in a short while, but if we try to understand the meaning of this line, which we are saying, this is it, yeah, here it is. Let's go up. Yeah, IDE, which is integrated development environment. This is like all the development needs are there in this environment. As a developer, we want to write code, we want to compile code, we want to execute code, and then we want to make commits to the Git. Now all these things are there in Git. It will make in Eclipse, sorry, it will make things very easy for us. Now we can see Eclipse is about to launch, but before launching, Eclipse is asking select a workspace. The first terminology is a workspace. It says Eclipse stores your project files in a folder called workspace. Choose a workspace for your use for this session. So right now I'll go with the workspace which is default workspace, and I'll also tick this option where I'll say use this as a default workspace and do not ask again. So we go ahead. Now Eclipse will proceed with the launching. So here we can see the first terminology that we have come across was workspace, and workspace is a folder where Eclipse saves all our projects. Eclipse mandates designating a folder. That means that if we start Eclipse, it needs a folder in order to work to allow us to create projects or do various operations in Eclipse. So first terminology is clear. It's a workspace is a folder that we have to designate. Now after we told the workspace to Eclipse, it will launch and it will start with this screen. Now this is our welcome screen, and on the right corner of the welcome screen, if we see, this is our workbench. So what we can say is, if we have to understand it in an analogy, Eclipse is like our office, workbench is our desk in the office where we do most of our tasks. So when we enter our office, this is kind of, we have entered our office. Now let's go to our workbench, and workbench is the area where we will be writing the code, we will be compiling the code, we will be working with stuff. So first terminology was workspace, second is workbench. So this is workbench, the complete IDE window of Eclipse where we do our routine work. Third terminology that we get is a view. Now in this workbench, I can see, like if it is my desk, typically on our desk we keep our laptop, we keep our tablets, we keep our phone. So that way Eclipse workbench is also having so many options for us. We can keep multiple stuff over here. Now one such stuff is package explorer. Package explorer is, you can say, it's one small window over here which serves some particular purpose. Task list here with title task list is another small area where we will see some specific information. Same way, this is the area where we write code. This is the area we see problems. This is the area where Java doc is written. Declarations are shown here. So all these separate windows or small windows that we see on our workbench, they are individually called a view. Now if I can say this is Java doc view, this is declaration view, this is problems view. If I close this accidentally, so what I have done is I have closed a problems view. If I want to get back to that, I can simply go here, type problems, and Eclipse has very nice integrated search, and it is saying, are you searching for views problems? So we click here and we will notice problems view comes back. So that is third terminology, and all this terminology, if we are acquainted with, it becomes efficient to use Eclipse. We can understand each other's terminology in exercises. If I say go and check in the console view, this is the output or not, so we know easily like what that line is talking about. Last terminology of Eclipse is a perspective. Now perspective is what we are seeing right now. All the views are arranged in one particular order. Sorry. On the left side we see package explorer. On the bottom we see three views, problem, Java doc, declaration. On the right we see two views, task list and outline. This is called Java perspective. One unique arrangement of views is perspective. On the right side, on top right, we can see Java is shown here. This is the name of the perspective that is active currently. Now if I have to go to another perspective, I can go to window, I can go to perspective, and I can say open perspective, debug perspective. Now when we go to debug, we notice that some new views have come, old views have gone, and a new arrangement of views has happened here. So on top there is debug view, variables and breakpoints. Here outline, there is the code view, and bottom there is console and tasks. On the top right corner we can see Java and debug. Both the perspective are there. We can switch between them. So if I go back to Java perspective, I am in the old perspective. If I come back to debug, this is the new perspective. So this is the terminology Eclipse uses. We will switch back to various perspectives, and we will notice when we start using Eclipse, this perspective terminology will also help us understand a lot of the messages that Eclipse shows us. Okay, so we have learned the terminology and we are all set to use Eclipse. Now before we close our session, we should see like what all we should learn about Eclipse so that we can call ourselves an expert. So if we know these 6 things, which out of which first we have already done. So if we know 6 things and we have done each step of them 10 times, then we can say we are Eclipse expert. Other things are, we should know how to create a project in Eclipse. We should know how to add Java files to that project. We should know how to run the project. We should know how to debug the project, and how do we install plugins to the Eclipse. If we know all that, then we are perfect in that. And at the bottom there is a link to a quiz. Whatever we have discussed till now, all that is given in the form of a quiz, so you can try those exercises. And this is a self-help quiz, so I'll show one question. Okay, so first question is, IDE stands for which of the following? Integrated debugging environment, integrated development environment, integrated development experience, or integrated development exercises. So if I give a wrong answer, let's say I go with debugging environment, so it will tell the answer is wrong, and we'll get the explanation that it is integrated development environment, the one which is one-stop shop for all development needs. And development needs are coding, execution, debugging, version control. So there are 2 more questions in this quiz. Feel free to take time to attempt that and enhance your knowledge, or check the knowledge that is gained till now. Well, so that was our getting started with Eclipse. Next time, in next tutorial, we will start creating projects and we will start using Eclipse. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next session.